Colorado.
The views expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of this station or its parent company.
All right, welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Chris Romer. I'm the president and CEO of Vail Valley Partnership, and we will be doing these community conversations talking about a variety of topics and things of interest to the Eagle County community and Eagle River Valley residents throughout the year. Really excited to be joined by our county manager, Jeff Schroll, for our inaugural community conversation. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. It's good to be here.
Yeah, and this is designed to be a conversation, you and I talking with each other about things happening in Eagle County, and we'll focus obviously a little bit on the strategic priorities of Eagle County and some of the things that you guys are focused on. But Jeff, you have your fingers on the pulse of a lot of things happening here in Eagle County and in the Central Rocky region, and we'll explore a little bit about what some of those things are, and a little bit about the role that Eagle County plays on a regional level. And I'll start with, in the interest of communication and conversation rather than an interview, Eagle County's leadership position in the Central Rockies. And I know that might be uncomfortable for you to talk about as the county manager, but I think you recognize that we collectively, Eagle County, not the county government, but the county, our businesses, our nonprofits, the county itself, maybe Vail Valley Partnership, like we play way outside our weight class when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to our role and voice at the state level. Can you talk a little bit about your view on that, and how does that authentically incorporate itself into the work at Eagle County and the work you do at Eagle County government?
Well, I think it's, you said the word already, collaboration. And I think, as I look back on my 30-plus year career here in the Valley, there was a time, 2 decades ago, we were all pretty siloed. We just didn't talk, and that includes the governments to the nonprofits to the special districts to the to our local chambers, and I think so many of those walls have been completely demolished, and I think that's what I like your choice of words, that we as a collective group can be leaders in this valley, and I really do think it's really that collaboration. As I look up and down the valley, I think we've got. We'll get into some of these conversations later about how healthy our business community is doing, with some challenges, no doubt. But I also think from top to bottom, from Red Cliff and Vail all the way to Gypsum and over to Basalt, this is probably some of the best leadership in our municipal governments. If I can brag on my own team, I think this is probably the best leadership team that the county has had in my years here, not just because of me, but it's just the way the stars have aligned. So I think we've really got good leaders in the Valley, and like you said earlier, I think we've got some nonprofits doing great things. I think Vail Health is probably one of the most innovative, creative health providers that I can point fingers at really anywhere in Western Colorado, or even I would even if I look at their mental health efforts and what they've done there, particularly with the pending opening of the Precourt Healing Center, I would put them up against even the Front Range community. So I think that's really the key, is you can just look around the valley and go, our valley is doing really good things. Private-public partnerships, all of it, I think, has made us really healthy.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that when you talk about the leadership, leadership isn't a job title, right?
No.
Leadership is really the ethos and the spirit that encompasses our public sector, our private sector, and our nonprofit and call it NGO sector. And I look around in my tenure, you mentioned at the county, and I agree with you 100%. But I also look at our private sector leadership and our special districts, be it recreation districts or school district or others, and the leadership from their boards and their staff and the spirit of collaboration that exists, I think it is our unique value proposition in Eagle County that leads to the successes that we'll talk about and the recognizing the challenges that exist. But it's not by accident, right? It's a real intentional effort stewarded by each of those different groups. It's not a government-led or a private sector-led or nonprofit-led. It's a collaboratively led effort to address the challenges, which, again, I look at our neighboring communities and I look at the state as a whole, and that's really rare. It's really rare to have folks recognizing the need to work together instead of, oh, that's government problem, that's a private sector problem. We kind of tear down those walls in Eagle County, and it's really fun to see. And as you said, it hasn't always been that way. So I think it's fun to recognize that and acknowledge that, and it's important to not say it from a place of credit, which you didn't, but a place of, like, we're really fortunate.
It's a great time to be here. Yeah, we've probably both you and I. I mean, I look at the makeup of your board. I have a new commissioner filling the seats of a great long-standing commissioner that's done a lot for Colorado, and it's just good we just stumbled into the right place at the right time type of a situation.
Yeah, so. I often look at the success that we've had at the partnership. And again, it's because of our members and our partners and the community at large, and wonder how the heck I haven't screwed it up. So I'm happy to know that, not as of yet anyway, knock on wood, I haven't found a way to screw that up, thanks to the strength of my team and my board, and I know you feel the same way at the county.
I think you and I both have figured out, just hire lots of people smarter than us. And
and the bar is relatively low.
That's for sure.
No offense to you. I bring the average down quite a bit, but it is fun to be surrounded by those people at a governance level and a partner level and a staff level that raise the tides. So Jeff, let's transition there a little bit to talk about some of the priorities at Eagle County, and specific to Eagle County government. But the thing maybe most impressive to me about Eagle County's strategic plan is that it's not a government strategic plan, a traditional government strategic plan. It's a strategic plan of how the government works with the community. So talk about some of those priorities, and let's explore that a little bit.
Well, I think what you said is important, is that, our strategic, for us even to implement most of our strategic goals and priorities, we can't do it without partnerships. We just wouldn't get very far. And so in the arena of housing, I'm sure we could spend the whole time talking just on housing, but there's so many different folks out there doing really innovative work and trying to do the best we can on tackling the housing issue. We've got great teamwork across the valley addressing some climate issues. Early childhood is no longer, that's just one sector of our population that needs help. You're seeing the private sector jump in full head first. Speak specifically the Vail Valley Foundation, as well as other businesses that are getting involved in that. And so those are our natural resources. We've got great federal partnerships going on, and so I think as we look at those types of things, we can't do any of that without our strong partnerships. And so, and you've been, I would say you've been at the table through most of those, and you could even speak to maybe what are the thoughts of private enterprise as they look at our housing, early child care. I don't want to check transit off the list, but what a huge, undertaking in 24 to see eco-transit become now core transit with a much, much more robust transit system in our valley that I think is going to serve the needs better. You've been part of all those conversations, and I can talk on the government side of things, what that looks like and where we might be going in 25. But why did private enterprise get involved in this? And And maybe that paradigm shift of, oh, those are government issues, has really shifted into, no, these are private issues.
Yeah, I think it's all interconnected, right? Because when we talk about community, we're talking about community holistically, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about how do we build a place where people can succeed,
Yeah.
and where people can thrive. That talks to housing and early childhood. It talks to the need to move our workforce around the community with transit and transportation. It talks about the local environment, right? Thriving people need all of those things. But thriving businesses need thriving people. So you look at the private sector and the businesses that make this place go, certainly within the tourism aspect, and the 50% plus of our businesses that are not in tourism, maybe construction and skilled trades, maybe public sector, nonprofit, professional services, they need thriving people.
Yeah.
So it's businesses and the business leaders and business owners recognize the need for these traditional people issues, and a thriving community where government comes in needs thriving businesses to fund the efforts taking place at the county. So it's all interconnected. It's not a linear pathway, Jeff, where it's this and then this and then this. It's all interconnected, and it's all reliant on each other. And I think the private sector, speaking directly to the core transit, because it's the most recent with that ballot initiative in November of 2022 and the roll-up and the full transition in 2024 into core transit from eco-transit, boy, that was led by the private sector. And I remember you, when we brought together the business community and the Beaver Creek Economic Advisory Council and the Vail Economic Advisory Council and the partnership with Eagle County and our transit providers. I remember you called me. I don't know if you remember this. You called me that morning and you said, Romer, am I going to get kneecapped at this meeting? And I said, no, of course not, because that's not the way and you were joking. But that's not the way we operate here, right? It was we had 60 plus people in the room talking about how we do things better. And the beautiful thing about that, business-led, business-initiated, with government at the table, not in a defensive manner, in a problem-solving manner, right? And I think our local transit agencies and eco-transit and Eagle County government said, yeah, this might very well be a better model. And so why wouldn't we work to do this? There was no parochialism. There was no ownership. There were interest committees and stakeholders and everyone involved in building a better mousetrap. And that, it's such a great example because we see it again and again with housing. You had alluded to that, early childhood, that it's really around the idea of a partnership-based model.
I'm a political science major, so I love watching these kinds of opportunities take shape. And going back to that meeting, and I think it was at the Marriott in Beaver Creek, and it was private sector asking government to come to a meeting to let us know the existing model doesn't work. It's not meeting our needs. We can't get our employees moving around safely. We can't get our visitors. We don't give them enough options with, better routes, more timeliness of service, and I think sometimes government's response is to step back and get offended, or defend, or okay, I'll make a couple of tweaks here and there. 16 months later, Core Transit is officially blessed and
out there doing their thing.
The buses have changed, and it's a whole brand new transportation authority, and that is such a picture-perfect model of how government can interact with its residents and citizens and move quickly. I mean, 16 months for government work is not bad. I mean,
no, it's not.
I wish I take it back. It was 20 months. We predicted 24 and got it done in about 20, and that's from soup to nuts, if you will. Just like how did we start to how did we get to bus drivers wearing new uniforms is pretty outstanding, and that took a heavy lift from a lot of different people and to get it across the goal line. So
yeah, and it's, again, I think that core transit example is, and we spent a little time talking about it because I think it just personifies so many of the other things and the other challenges facing our community, and does reinforce the fact that we can do big things in Eagle County, because it's not parochial. We're not in those silos.
Yeah.
We collectively, the community. When I say we, I mean the community, not the chamber, not the government.
Right.
But as citizens, as leaders, and as we talked about, leadership doesn't have a job title. Leadership is a self-directed outcome, and it's a way of thinking. To be problem solvers, not budget stewards, which we need to be, and not the other things, but really to solve community problems.
Well, 3 other examples along those same lines, and we can dive deeper into these. A very similar meeting was called by the Vail Valley Foundation to really look at housing. Again, they brought, I think, VVF and VVP brought a conglomerate of leaders in the room to say, again, our existing model isn't working. What other opportunities are out there? The same thing, kind of the same group around the topic of early child care and the needs that what we're doing now. There's more of a demand than what the needs can fulfill. Which, i.e., the lodging tax came out of that, and so now we are absolutely being able to subsidize teachers who in the early child care industry at one time were making. You can go to Walmart and make more money doing anything as a checker or any position over there than what our child care workers that are in charge of our children are doing. And then I think rolling it back to 2018, I remember the meetings taking place at Eagle County's main building, but it was really a conglomerate of some private sector and as well as all of our emergency providers to look at what we're doing for mental health in this valley isn't working either. Our statistics back then were terrible, way too many suicides and then just untreated mental health issues. And so, again, we were just talking about this at our last Eagle Valley Behavioral Health Board meeting last week, just kind of reminiscing that we stood around the table, and it was in our Holy Cross room, and we're like, how are we going to fund this? And now, 5 years later, we probably have one of the most sophisticated, well-oiled, put-together Eagle Valley Behavioral Health infrastructure of anywhere in the state of Colorado. And so, again, great partners with EVBH, but also every police chief was there. Our emergency services teams were there. Our ambulance district folks were there. I mean, it was school district was there. We didn't have any in-school based counselors that we have, I think, in every school now in Eagle County, including the Roaring Fork Valley. We've got folks in there. So this is a great example of how our community can come together. And it's not just one entity's problem. We take it on as how do we all collectively work on this? And I look forward to that. I don't see those efforts being rolled back anytime soon, and that causes me great satisfaction. Being on my side of the fence, working in local government, to knowing that I've always got private partnerships out there. I've got partnerships with other districts, other entities. I think it just makes for, like you said, a healthy community. Yeah,
and it's not to minimize or overlook the challenges that exist.
Yeah.
Right? We have and will have housing, early childhood, mental health, workforce related, business growth related challenges by the nature of the environment that we're in. And I don't mean the physical environment, although that's part of it, the seasonality, the access issues, but the environment as a transient community with high demand for second homes, a dependence on the tourism industry. Those fundamental things are not going to go away as challenges. But when we talk about problem solving and addressing these things, I always frame it as we're making it better. But the goalpost will continue to move.
It does.
Right? The goalpost continues to move no matter what we do on any of these big community issues from government, private sector, nonprofits, collaboratively, et cetera, there's going to remain challenges. And guess what? There's challenges in every community across the country. Yeah. We're just tackling them probably more innovatively, probably quicker, and probably more collaboratively than almost anyone else.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's fun.
Can I ask
Please,
you? I want to put you on the spot a little bit, because we've talked, as we look into, the various things that, the county may have identified as strategic goals and priorities. And it's hard to talk about, I think, in the dead of winter like we are now. It's pretty cold out today, but, our ski industry, we know drives our economy. And, what thoughts in your world, Chris? I know we talk about it a lot. How do we diversify our income? And how do we diversify our economy to be a more stable year-round economy that's not, we're always going to be tied, and we should be tied. We have some of the best outdoor recreation opportunities in the world here in the Valley, and lots of people like to come here and play in that. But we've got up snow years, we've got down snow years, we've got just different things that happen that affect how many visitors we have come and go. What are things that that you're seeing in your world that helps diversify that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when we talk about diversifying the economy, what we're really talking about is building an infrastructure that gives people opportunities. Right. And so it's not about no longer focusing on tourism and outdoor recreation. That's our bread and butter. That's the brand. That's who we are. We want and need to do everything we can to strengthen that industry, but also not to become overly reliant on it, more overly reliant than we might already be. And it's not entirely different than any area that's over indexes on a certain area, be it steel mill, Rust Belt communities, or be it Cincinnati, Ohio, where I grew up, where Procter & Gamble is the huge, largest employer, or Bentonville, Arkansas, where Walmart's the largest. There's similar communities. Ours happens to be in that tourism and outdoor recreation realm. To your point and your inherent question, Jeff, it's about strengthening the infrastructure that allows people the ability to start their business. Eagle County has done a great job with the SBDC and the growth that that organization has had. The state of Colorado has some resources for employee ownership organizations and the ability for exit planning for current business owners to transition their businesses and have a real exit plan where that business doesn't just close down, it moves to a different ownership model, be it employees or transitioning it to a new buyer. And at the end of the day, I think we could talk about this. I could talk about this for hours, but what it really comes down to is how we invest in career pathways,
absolutely,
and how we invest in the tools and resources to allow people to upskill, allow people to reskill, allow organizations to identify what that is. And again, I think that there's a number of examples in our community where we're seeing that. I'm a little bit biased because I'm on the board of Colorado Mountain College, but CMC...
I was going to say, there's one partner we haven't mentioned yet.
They're a huge partner when it comes to this idea, and a couple specific examples. They've done a great job also of working and listening to industry to react to some of the things. So the oral health clinic at CMC and Edwards is amazing. Professional jobs, well-paying jobs outside of the tourism industry that support our community.
Exactly.
And the dentists that I've talked to in this valley are like, when are the first graduates coming? And the people in that program are so enthusiastic and happy to be doing it. And here's where all of this is interconnected. Many of them, most of them, are in the housing that CMC and Eagle County collaborated to build, right? So we're solving all these problems because it's all interconnected. So the oral hygiene is one example. The teacher apprenticeship program at CMC is tremendous. To have a pipeline of bilingual students who mostly grew up in Eagle County, having the opportunity to get their degree in Eagle County, to be able to work at Eagle County schools, to fill that needed talent pipeline. So they're a huge partner. And we've done some work at the partnership, and we'll continue to do that with youth apprentices, with a number of different leadership classes and professional development classes and training programs, and the work on, back to the question of how do we diversify. It's about strengthening the other areas and the opportunities that exist for entrepreneurs. Because we will always, I say always, within my lifetime, we will always be a small town. And what a small town means is there's only one certain things, right? There's one bank president, there's one county manager, there's one chamber director, there's one school superintendent, there's one hospital CEO. If you're in a metropolitan area and you have 14 hospitals and 18 counties and 87 cities and thousands of nonprofits and lots of banks, and you can grow your career by switching jobs and switching industries relatively easy. In a small town, any small town, Eagle County being a small town, 55,000 people, how do you do that when the career pathway is often blocked? Right? If you're we'll pick on banking. If you're a banker and you want to be the regional bank president, well, there's like only 2 or 3 of them at different banks, right? So your pathway is blocked. So what does that mean? We need to have an infrastructure and an ecosystem that supports entrepreneurs, so that person, maybe they need to transition out to come back, but more likely what we see again and again and again is our startups occur because someone's career path is blocked. So they're like, I have an idea. I see a need in the community. I'm going to start that. And what we need to do better than what metropolitan area needs to do is provide the tools and resources and information for people to be able to start their own thing, and the connections and network to be able to build it in a meaningful way. And I think that's the path. It's not as easy. I've had numerous elected officials over the 18 years that I've been at the partnership who say, why don't you go recruit businesses to come to Eagle County? You should, my favorite thing ever is the partnership should. You should go do this. It's like Mikey eating his life cereal, right? Mikey will do it. Mikey will eat it. And they say, why don't you go recruit businesses? I'm like, well, because our business recruiting story sucks. We have housing challenges. We have workforce challenges.
Makes it hard.
We have early childhood challenges. We have supply chain challenges. The cost of land is really expensive. All of these hurdles exist to recruit a business and move it here. We have great resorts and great outdoor recreation and great people, but the profit and loss is never going to be better here than it is in
anywhere else.
Fill in the blank non-resort community. But what we have and our unique advantage is people have a heartfelt attachment to this place. So if we give them, if they've already made the choice to be here, how do we help them grow? How do we help them expand? How do we help them retain and attract talent? And so the focus needs to be on that. To diversify the economy, we need to focus on how we inherently tie into their heartfelt desire to be here, to give them the workforce, to give them the access to capital, to overcome the P&L stuff. So we're never going to win the P&L story. We're always going to win the heart story. So we need to focus on those tools and resources and provide information, training, resources, that partner with places like Eagle County Schools and Colorado Mountain College and public sector investment and chamber programming and fill in the blank and connect them with each other so they know there's other people like them. That's a lot harder than a traditional economic development story that focuses on the front page story on a newspaper of recruiting a business. It's not our model, and we need to accept that's not our model. And everybody, I say everybody, knowing that you never use absolutes, Chris, but most everybody recognizes the need to support our professional services, be that heating and HVAC, be that plumbing, electricians, skilled trades, or be that attorneys and CPAs and accountants, and people that could hang their shingle anywhere.
Right.
How do we get them to hang their shingle here and be invested in our community?
Great points.
It's a long answer, but I could keep going for another hour, but no one wants to hear that.
Yeah, well, I definitely like the way the partnership's going with CMC, and I'm pretty tied to Eagle Valley High School, and just seeing some of the results and the products of either young people that have been able to graduate college in less than 4 years, including my own daughter, as well as pathways to trades. Success in life doesn't always revolve around a $100,000 university of such and such degree. In fact, that's changing quite a bit.
It is.
AI is probably going to replace guys like you and me in the near future, but AI can't roof your house, and AI can't do a lot of the trades type things that are going on in the valley, and we're going to always need those. So
yeah, the digital transformation.
It's crazy.
And the AI and the efficiencies it creates, it's here. It's going to exponentially grow. But I believe inherently, like we as a community, we're a people-driven community.
Absolutely.
AI will have its impact and will do things, but it's not going to replace the need for the Eagle County Regional Airport,
no,
the need to move people efficiently through core transit, or to provide the training and education that Colorado Mountain College and the skilled trades programs that the high school create, the youth apprenticeship model that we've built at the partnership. We're still in a people business. The folks at the hospital and dental, it's.
Yeah, I can't clean my teeth yet.
Right. Hey, if it were me, I would go to the hygienist every week to get my teeth cleaned, but I'm weird like that. Jeff, let's talk a little bit about specifically the Eagle County Regional Airport. It's something that's near and dear to me, and I know is very important to you. When people ask me about the airport and specifically the county, it's the one thing the county has. It's the one asset the county has that actually drives sales tax revenue, right? To the community as a whole, volume to the businesses, sales tax to the communities. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of Eagle County Regional Airport.
First I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to, I think we've hit a home run with our leadership out there. David Reed is our airport director. Josh Miller is his deputy director. Jody Doney is our terminal manager. They've really just done a great job turning around, how the place looks, how it operates. Josh oversaw the construction of the new terminal a few years back, and then, they just have a heart for, providing top-notch quality service over there. And then, they also bought into, you've heard me say this enough. I've been part of the Eagle Air Alliance for almost 2 decades. I think I was on there when it started, and being a Gypsum resident, there's nothing more frustrating to me than getting in my car and driving to DIA, particularly for my 70, I'm looking right across to a wonderful runway and commercial gates. And so having them kind of join in on what would it take to attract, everybody's done a great job, including our business sector that's part of the EG Air Alliance, in attracting the right markets, particularly during our busiest seasons. So we've got great 13 destinations that are really great hubs of people that want to be here, second homeowners that may primarily live somewhere else but own homes here, and then just the vacation experience that everybody that's involved in that industry provides when you get here. But also now looking at how do locals, talking about becoming a more holistic transportation. We've got good bus service now, but how do we skip the trip if you will. I mean, I don't know if that's a catch line yet.
It is now.
It is now. And so I think with the addition of Frontier Airlines and Air Alaska in particular, on top of still the great service that we're getting from our legacy carriers with United and American and Delta, it's kind of changed the game a little bit. And so if our viewers don't know, Frontier now hubs us to Denver, Dallas, which I always say you can hub to wherever grandma lives if you can get through either DIA or Dallas in particular, and then also out to the West Coast in San Francisco. And then Air Alaska, while a lower cost carrier, I think still opens up not only destination markets, but our locals to be able to get to the West Coast, both Northwest in the Seattle area as well as in the San Diego area. And so those have been game changers. And so if you look at what that's going to do to 2025 numbers, compared to the fact that our airport team set records for employments coming through the airport in 26, it's really been outstanding. A new partner with Signature Aviation that handles our GA side. They've converted everything to electronic tugs and everything. So it's great to see our airport industry really begin to align itself with climate goals and initiatives. We're working on a project that it's still in its very, very much infancy stage in terms of producing locally sustainable aviation fuel, so we can offset, just straight up Jet A fuel that we currently do. And just really beginning to change what that airport does and can do for our community. It provides jobs. There's always that component of it, but it really helps us locally be able to utilize something to get wherever we need to go, whether it's a business trip or vacations for the family. And then also, like you said earlier, this really does bring in a substantial amount of our sales tax and our visitors into the area. So there's just a lot of great things going on at EGE. We've recently completed our next section of our master plan, which is, we got back of house kind of taken care of with the new gates, new jet bridges, with expansions opportunities for more. Now we want to look at the front of the house. I mean, the front of the house with our baggage claim, parking, it does what it was not intended to do 25 years ago. We make it work, but if you're out there President's Day weekend, it's you walk around like this because it's shoulder to shoulder, which from an economy side of things is great to see. It can get a little, flustering and claustrophobic out there, but we've got great vendors that really know how to manage it. We've got great ground transportation crews. Again, it's private and public working together to create a vital piece of infrastructure that I think breathes a lot of life into our valley for sure. And our goal is to help it continue that process year round. You were part of getting some great summer flights in and out, especially for us Gen Xers. I kind of like recreating in the summer a wee bit more than I do the wintertime these days. Summertime doesn't hurt my joints and stuff like that, but we know that other people want to, as our population ages, we've got a lot of folks that want to come and recreate in the summer here as well. And then there's still travel needs during the shoulder seasons. There's business travel needs in the shoulder seasons, both incoming and outbound, that I'm hoping that as we continue to grow the airport in a healthy way, we can continue to focus on. So really proud of the team out there, proud of everything that's gone on. I've always had since I've been with Eagle County, really strong commissioners that see the vision of what the airport does and can be, and have really embraced that. Yeah,
and the only other thing I would add for the airport, which is such a gem, and the guest experience is so much better than driving the I-70 corridor and dealing with, and I'm very fortunate for DIA, but that's crowded too.
Oh, yeah,
you connect through DIA.
Oh, yeah.
When you talk about it's amazing the number of people funneling through DIA, which is great for Colorado, and it's good for us as well. The Air Alliance has also had the local flight rebate program, which is a great program to encourage locals, to utilize that airport and to try that airport and to work to reinvest in the people of Eagle County to experience it. Because I think once you experience Eagle County Regional Airport and the convenience and the access and the reliability, you never ever want to drive the I-70 corridor to DIA, and I have to do it every once in a while because of timing or whatever the case. But anymore, I will stay an extra day somewhere and come home the next morning rather than having to fly back at night to DIA to drive up here, because maybe I'm old or curmudgeonly. In fact, I probably am a little bit of both. But really, the experience is so much better through Eagle County Regional Airport. So it's a good one. Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time. I think we're wrapped up on our time. I think we've probably hit or gone over our limit here. But this has been Community Conversations. We've been joined by Jeff Schroll, Eagle County Manager, talking about a variety of different things here in Eagle County and the Eagle River Valley. Really appreciate it, Jeff.
My pleasure. It's always fun to be here.
Did you know that all Eagle County residents and